How's it going, everybody? This is Legacy with Team Evolution Rush of IKORR coming to you with another deck profile. This time it's going to be Hachiman Charge 4th, and this is one I'm pretty excited to show you, especially because it's a deck I've been testing and just kind of playing around with and having some fun with. But I wanted to show you something that was a little different, just because this one is a green-based avatar, and I know the green avatars are kind of, not the strongest for the most part, but I do think that this was kind of one that I felt like being mixed with purple and some of the damage that it has attached to it, that you could do some pretty interesting things with. So I'm excited to kind of go over the list for you. A couple things. I just want to say thanks to everybody who, watches these profiles and watches these videos. I've been trying to kind of get stuff done as much as possible through just the busyness of life. But, another thing too is these profiles are just for people to, kind of have a direction to go. If you're new to the game, or you have an avatar that you like or something, you're not really sure where to start. That's kind of why I like doing these two, because the deck building with this game is really fun, and it's just constantly interesting. So in set 2, man, I'm so excited for set 2. Set 2 has so many good cards, and I just can't wait to start playing around with all those cards. So but with that being said, let's get into the profile just so I can kind of explain things as much as possible. So first off, of course, we have the avatar. His ability is a warrior related ability, which is another reason why I like this avatar, because it kind of has a specific game plan, where you pay 2 and warriors you control get +2 attack or +1 raid for the turn, which is nice. So you can kind of just pick and choose depending on the situation. And then its rush ability summons a warrior from your graveyard, and it gives swift and can attack and raid the same turn, which is great. So having that ability to bring a warrior back in a specific moment is really nice. So I'll start off showing the non-warrior cards that we're playing in the deck. There are a few of them. So first off, we are playing the Serapard. I felt like this was a pretty good 1-drop, and I stuck the Contemplate Impermanence infusion on it. That way I can kind of replace it. It kind of cycles is the idea. So obviously there are quite a few infusions you could play on this, giving it more attack or some other abilities. But I just like the idea where this can come down, ping some damage, and just when it dies, you get to draw a card, which is nice. And then we played 2 of the Disguised Shinobis. So we kind of use this one for just more damage. We summon it, we have the Hamayumi on it, so it deals 1 damage to a target champion or kills a demon, and then if it attacks, you get to bring it back. So if you get the bonus of adding it back if it attacks, then you get it next turn as well, so you can just kind of rack up some additional damage, which is really nice. Next we have the cows. In this deck, they are fine. We have Hermes Lyre on 1 and Foresight on the other. There's only Foresight I play in the deck. Fine for just getting information, and you could probably play a few other things like Find Weapon or something if you want to, but this was fine. So just pretty standard. And then the last 2 non-warriors are, of course, the Swift Messengers. These are kind of staples to me, just personally, with Scroll of Curses and Kusanagi. Now, I know that, if there's certain infusions you don't have, some are difficult to get, and I understand that. You can always just play around with a bunch of different things. And Swift Messenger is fortunately one of those cards where it kind of doesn't really matter what you put on it, because the fact it draws you 2 cards and can attack right away is already some pretty good value. So, yeah, but these are just, to me, good cards. They give you draw, they give you some stun, and they just always feel really good to play. All right, so now we're going to go into the warriors. So we're starting off with light infantry, and I stuck the Roaring Aegis on this. And the reason I did that is because it's the cheapest way to trigger the 0-cost allied power. So, if you play a couple champions, and this is kind of the last thing that you play, and you can activate that allied power to, give everything +1 raid or some additional attack for the turn. It just gives that ability, it makes it cheaper. Compared to playing a 2 or 3 or 4 cost that has that summon ability to make it cost 0. And plus, if you needed to, or if you really wanted to, you could play this on, turn 1 if you're on the draw, and this could raid for 2 immediately, which could be beneficial. So, again, light infantry, though, it's a 3-dot infusion holder, so, I mean, the reality is you can also just kind of stick whatever you want on this. You know, if you have an Eye of Ra, you could play an Eye of Ra on one of these for some more removal. I don't know, there's a bunch of things you could do with this, but I decided to play the Roaring Aegis. Next we have the Ashigaru Spearman, just another good 2-drop warrior. It's got Quick Strike. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage to an opposing champion, which is really nice. This is a just kind of standard, you know, cheap warrior. Again, another one you can stick quite a few things to. You could stick the Eager onto it if you want to give it Swift, which I have that on another card, so that's why we don't see it here. Yeah, this one's another pretty universal card, but I think that dealing, again, we're going for as many cards as we can to not only just have warriors on the board to utilize with the avatar power to gain additional raid or attack, but we also, because we're playing purple, we want to have as much damage-based abilities as possible. Then we have the Ashigaru Gunner. This one is, again, kind of a staple, more or less. One of the best cards in set 1. And I think, you know, most people probably are very familiar with it by now. But with this one, we have experience that gives it +1 raid. You could also put the Mystic Ankh on it to give it an additional 2 health, but I do have that on another card as well. So this coming down on turn 3, being able to raid for 3 and then deal 1 damage is always very strong. Again, you could stick Mystic Ankh on this, but you know, I'll go over the card that I have that on in just a second. But this is just a good staple, you know, warrior that you want to play. Then we have the Sohei Initiate. So this one is a little more techy, I suppose. We are playing one location that I'll show you at the end. But the purpose of this is it's a good Sumptuous Cacao holder. It's a 3 cost with Sumptuous Cacao. It'll be a 4/4 that raids for 2, which is not like super overpowered by any means, but it's pretty premium for what it is, especially being a warrior. So, you know, if you do have the location on board, you do get that additional ability to stun something. But just being able to play this as a 4/4 that rage for 2 is pretty nice. Mostly that 3/4/4 stat line is very strong. So that's why we have this in here. Again, it is conditional with the location, but you can still, you know, if you get it off, great. But if anything, this is just good stats with that infusion on it. Okay, moving into the 4-drops, we're playing Hoplite. So this is one that initially I didn't really like look at too much. I kind of overlooked it, but I actually think it's a lot better than I anticipated. We have the Mystic Ankh on this one, mostly because it turns this card into a 2/7. And with the Avatar ability, it makes it a 4/7, which is really nice. In a world where you get both of them out and they both can raid for 2 and get that extra 1 attack and health bonus is fine. And you could even, if you wanted to, stick the Sumptuous Cacao on this as well to make it a 3/6 that raids for 2. That may actually potentially be a better thing than putting it on the Sohei Initiate. But the thing is, because this card costs 4, you know, Sumptuous Cacao I think actually has more benefits being on cheaper cards, because you just get that benefit so much less, like from a cost perspective. But you could kind of do whatever you want. That's the nice thing about the infusions, right? So I mean, like with this one, I'm making it a 2/7. You know, there's a world where you could stick the Mystic Ankh on the Gunner and then put the experience on this to just make it a 2/5 that rage for 2. But I think Cacao on this is also like potentially really strong, even on a 4-drop. Like a 4/3/6 that rage for 2 is pretty strong. So they're all kind of interchangeable, but this is how I've been playing this one to give it that extra, you know, health, making it a 2/7, which just makes it really hard to deal with. And then we're playing 2 Spartan Warriors with the Infiltration, just to kind of give us some location bounce, but this is just a good body. A 4/4/3 that rage for 3 is just a good body, so we're going to play it. Then we're playing the Amazonian Gladiator. This is what we stuck our Eager on. So she is a 4/3/3 with Quick Strike and Swift, and has that additional action to pay 2 and deal 1 damage to a champion. And she rage for 2, so she's solid. Yeah, pretty good. I went with some of those damaged Greek cards instead of some of the other ones. Like you'll notice I'm not playing the Onimusha with Swift, just because I have Swift on this. Yeah, there's a couple other warriors that I'm just kind of choosing not to play, but they're not really a big deal. 2 Centaur Archer. So we have Ruler's Decree on one of them, and then on this one I stuck Enduring Spirit, just because like through the deck building I was like, man, I just can't really find like another infusion that I really like with this card. but this was fine. Funny enough, the reanimate's actually like not horrible on this card, because like if it dies, then it can just come back, and if you have another Greek, you can deal 2 more damage. So like there's a world where it's like not bad. Obviously, if you don't have Enduring Spirit or Reanimate, I mean, there's plenty of other infusions you can stick on this, but that's just what I have on this, and it's fine. I kind of like this with the Hoplite having the 7 health though, because you're probably never going to really play this on turn 4 and get the 2 damage, because we don't even have any Greeks that are less than 4. Mostly because they're just all not super cohesive with the deck and not even really that great. So a lot of times you're playing this after turn 4, which is fine, but yeah, it's still very strong to get the additional damage off and stuff. And yeah, surprisingly, Reanimate with this is good. Just being able to keep that body out on board. And then we have 2 Samurai Cavalries with Rubber Ball. So when it strikes and survives, you draw a card. I just want to notate, if I had Jade Funerary Mask, I would definitely 100% play it on these, just because this entire stack is retrievable under this if it dies. So if I had Jade Funerary Mask, it would be on both of these, just because if it goes in and kills something and then you get a card back, is fantastic. But for now, we're just going with the Rubber Ball, so is what it is. Then for the Fableds, we are playing 2 Toyotomi. I think this card is just an overpowered card. You know, maybe not everyone has the same opinion as I do about this card, but this card is so powerful. Fury and Swift is insane together, and the fact it can still do some AoE is nuts. And we have other Japanese that can also take advantage of this, so it's just a super strong card for 5. We play 1 Ohori. I think that's how you pronounce that, I guess. Prevents damage, battle for another warrior, and then warriors can both attack and raid, so pretty strong. 1 you can consider playing another copy of, but I think 1 is fine, especially with your avatar's ability to bring 1 back. 1 goes in. It's a Fury Swift 3/8 body. Pretty powerful. We're going to play it, especially if we can buff it. 1 Odysseus. If I had a second copy of this, I would probably consider playing another one just to see it more often. I mean, it's a warrior that deals 3 damage. You can draw cards and rage for 3. It's got good stats. Yeah, this is by far like one of the best cards you could play in this deck. If I had another one, I probably would definitely play it. And then 1 Achilles, just because it's a solid warrior. It's a little expensive, I think, for what this deck wants, but just since I don't have another Odysseus, that's kind of what this is. But yeah, it's still fine for when you can get it. And then for your spells, we have 2 Thunderbolts, which is pretty standard. 2 Zeus's Wrath. Just wanted more removal, and yeah, it ends up working out pretty well. 2 Blood Ritual. I wanted something that was just easier on draw. The Sunrises isn't really good in this deck because you don't really have a lot of cheaper cards or low to the ground cards. I think the Sunrises is much better for a deck that you have like a ton of 1 and 2 drops that you can just kind of cycle through, and you don't really have that in this deck in particular. So I'm not saying you can't play that card. I just think it's kind of slow in this particular version of the deck. But this is really solid because you can also combo it off with like the Serapard that draws a card when it dies. So you can like play this on turn 1, play this on turn 2, and you know, just get some draw off of it, which is pretty nice. But just in general, like kind of using it to take advantage of cheap draws is very good. And then we played 2 Spartan Training Grounds. This was the location I was talking about. This card's like not great by any means, but you can play it on curve, and then you can play the Sohei Initiate on turn 3, have a good body that stuns something. But you have so many cards that just ping and deal damage that this being able to increase that damage by 1 is great. So there's just a world where when you have one of these on board, it's not terrible to deal some additional damage for things. But it's definitely not the best card, but it's just if you want to take advantage of at least the Sohei Initiate and just kind of have something to help with the additional pinging damage, that's what we're playing. So that's it. That's my Hachiman. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It does actually pretty well. This is one of those ones where I wanted to, you know, do a showcase video with some gameplay and stuff. But yeah, we're working on that. There's still some other decks I want to show off, but for now, I appreciate taking the looks. Any comments, any ideas, you know, any opinions, I always love to hear. And with that being said, you guys have a good day.